There's a lot of information out there about what you need as a music producer, and being a beginner, it is super easy to feel really intimidated and like you're just weighed down with so much information. There's a lot of people that try to sell you things. Oh, buy this plugin, it'll help you. Buy this plugin, it'll help you fix your mix and all this. Really, I would say that if all producers had to rely on just 3 plugins, they'd be fine. And those 3 plugins are compression, reverb, and EQ. Yes, our mixes, our songs wouldn't sound as juicy and as detailed as they could be, but if we had to rely on just those 3, we would still have amazing sounding music. I'm just going to try to really make things simple. That's my goal on this channel, is to simplify things. With all the complicated stuff that goes on in the world about music production, I just want to take what I've learned and just simplify it for you. Out of all the plugins out there, if you just learn to master these 3, that'll be a really good starting point for you as a producer, and I'm really hoping that this just helps you to get things in a way that just makes more sense and is a lot more easy to understand. So the first one that I would say that is a must when you're making music is EQ. If you're not sure what EQ is, it's really just a tool to balance out frequencies. For example, if I were to play a low note right here, I'd have a low frequency. But what if in my song I also had this guitar playing, I have piano playing, those are all taking up space. They're just stacking on top of each other and creating a big mess. So what EQ does is it takes out the parts of the instrument's sound that are not necessary, that are just adding on top of other instruments in the same frequency, and it creates room for the instruments to breathe. And really, when you have so much instruments stacking on top of each other, creating all the same noises and same frequencies, it creates a mess. I mean, you mostly only want your low frequencies to be occupied by your kick drum and your bass. You want your other instruments like the chords and everything to be playing without taking up those bass frequencies. And so the parametric EQ is what I would use. The reason I would use parametric EQ is because it gives you a lot of options. You can just use that to sculpt out and say, okay, these chords, I just want to only take out the bass frequencies because the kick drum and the bass are going to be taking up those frequencies. So let's just cut those out and make room for the kick and the bass. And so that's just literally all EQ is. I mean, you can use it to boost certain frequencies and, cut other frequencies, but really the main thing I use EQ for is just cut the bass frequencies. Let the bass have its own space. Hey, that kind of rhymes. Let the bass have its own space. Oh, I just got an idea. What if I made a heavy metal rock song? Let the bass take its own space. Anyways, you get the idea. You just use EQ to carve out space, mainly to take out the bass frequencies so that the bass can have its own space. That sounds hilarious. I love that. Anyways, what am I doing? Okay, yes, back to tools you need. So the next tool I would say you would need is compression. Compression really is just an automatic volume fader. For example, if I were to play a super loud note on the piano, and also, oh, this piano's broken. If I were to play a super loud note on the piano, and then I were to also play a soft note, but if that was in a recording, well, that's really unbalanced. So what the compressor does is it really just lowers the volume of the super high parts so that they're more even with the lower volume. So it's literally just, okay, this is the line right here. If sound is trying to go above that volume, it just kind of like keeps it contained and keeps it around where you set the volume to be. So that's very useful for when you have vocals, and it's hard for vocalists to have the exact same volume throughout the part of the song that they're singing. And so a compressor just, takes the volume that is louder than it should be, and it just kind of brings it down to match it with the rest of the track. So you really need compression. It really helps your track to stand out. Radio tracks are full of compression because it helps things to sound cleaner, tighter, and you can also use compression to boost the gain afterwards to bring the volume back, to add more volume to it after you've reduced the high volume. So really useful. And then the last tool that I think that you need to really learn is reverb. I mean, it's just the space that your sound is in. It can give it the echo. You can use it to make your song sound like it's in a huge hallway or in a small studio, and you just assign that to different instruments. So I could assign reverb to the piano chords and make it sound really echoey, and then just do no reverb on your bass. I mean, you don't really want to do reverb on bass. I don't do it. You shouldn't do it unless you have something very specific you're going for whatever reason. But think about it like this. If you have the volume under control, You have all the frequencies taking up all the right spots, and then you have the echo that kind of helps blend things together. That's really all you need to make a song, besides your instrument, of course, if you have a synthesizer or if you're just recording raw piano. I mean, either way, those are the main plugins you need to be able to understand. And I would suggest that you really just forget about everything else right now. If you don't understand those three, just go and learn what those are. I do plan on hopefully making videos about that in the future. And so don't go around listening to all sorts of nonsense of companies trying to sell you different plugins and, oh, this is gonna help your song. It's like really just master compression, EQ, and reverb, and that'll get you a really solid foundation to be able to make tracks. And then, yes, in the future you will be buying more plugins, but that will be as like extra seasoning on top, and not necessarily because you need it to make a song, but because you know that it can help enhance your song. Producers don't have tons of plugins because they just have a bunch of random stuff that they don't know how to use. They have a bunch of plugins because they already know the fundamentals and they already know what's needed to make a good song, but they have the knowledge to know how to use other tools to make their songs spice up better. But really, we would still have great music if the whole world only had those 3 plugins. So, hope you enjoyed this video. My goal is to help make things simple, and if any of this resonates with you, check the link in the description. Check out my website. I can help work on your projects one-on-one and listen to what you're struggling with and help you directly instead of just, you relying on videos and things like that. So be sure to subscribe, and I hope I helped you in some way. Thanks.